She was hungry, lonely, and even the sound of footsteps the street felt like danger to her. A wealthy man, whose life was full of luxury and comfort, suddenly stopped in front of her. Everything seemed ordinary, but within moments, a single instant broke the silence. A helpless voice cried out, "Stop! Don't do this." People froze, and that moment hung like a secret in the air. Why did a homeless girl shout with such force? And what was it that made a powerful man stand still like stone? What happened next was not just an incident, but a truth that revealed the bitter reality of racial discrimination. The girl had been hungry for days. Lying on the street, wrapped in an old blanket, she remained a silent shadow in the noise of the world. People would pass by and glance, but no one stopped to ask if she was even alive. In her eyes was the fear born from years of racial prejudice and deprivation. She knew that, in the eyes of others, her worth was no more than a garbage bin. On the other side of the city was a man for whom every door was open. Rich, powerful, and influential, the world lay beneath his feet. But this seemingly safe evening of his life was about to collide with a reality that would change everything. It was no mere coincidence that their paths were about to cross. On one side, the girl whose existence meant nothing to the world, and on the other, the man whose power outweighed all. But the moment they stood in the same place, it would not remain between them. That moment would expose a bitter truth hidden on the face of society for years. And from here begins the part of the story where a single scream is about to shake the whole world. The city streets were unusually quiet that night. People walking on the road were lost in their own worlds. But in that moment, everyone's attention froze on one scene. A wealthy man, with arrogance clear on his face, sat at a dining table. In front of him was a plate, shining and full of fragrance. For him, it was just another luxury. But nearby, a homeless girl's breath grew heavy. Her eyes were fixed on the plate. Then suddenly, overcoming her fear, she shouted loudly, "Don't eat that!" For a moment, the air seemed to stop. The room went still, people paused. But her voice was not just a warning. It carried the pain burned into her by years of prejudice and injustice. The people at the table laughed. "She's crazy," someone said. Another shook his head with a mocking smile. But the girl's trembling hands and intense eyes showed she wasn't lying. There was a secret hidden in her words that no one else could see. The rich man glared at the girl with anger. Perhaps for the first time in his life, someone had challenged him like this. He moved forward to push her away, but she didn't step back. Her voice was shaking, yet her words were like fire. "You have no idea what this plate has brought for you. Your name, your pride, everything can be destroyed in moments." For the powerful people in the room, it was just a show. But the truth was that a homeless girl was forcing a powerful man to look into the mirror of reality. And this was the moment where the poison of racial prejudice became clear. If that girl had been white, maybe she would have been taken seriously. But because she was different, her scream was dismissed as madness. The tension in the air kept rising. There were tears in the girl's eyes, but inside her was a certainty that if she didn't speak today, this chance would be lost forever. The rich man reached for the plate. All eyes in the room were fixed on that single moment. People were waiting for him to eat, for the girl's warning to break apart as nonsense. But still, in his ears, her scream echoed, "Don't eat that." His fingers moved slowly closer to the plate. The silence in the room was so heavy it felt like everyone's breath had stopped. On one side were whispers of laughter and mockery, and on the other side was the girl, trembling in her body, but with a truth in her voice strong enough to shake the walls. She shouted, "You don't know what's in this plate." But no one took her seriously. The crowd dismissed her words as madness and laughed. Yet in her eyes was a pain that could never lie. The businessmen lifted the spoon. The moment was near. The girl's shaking hands reached forward as if she wanted to snatch the plate away herself. But at that instant, 2 guards grabbed her arms, pulling her back with force. Her fragile body was dragged, and she fell to the floor. Her clothes were covered in dirt, and every face in the room looked at her with contempt. Yet her lips were still moving. "This is not just food. This is poison. It was placed here for you because you are not like them." The room was silent. All eyes were fixed first on the plate, then on her. But the truth was, no one believed her. Why? Because she was a homeless, helpless girl with a different color. The powerful did not want to listen. The rich man's hand trembled over the plate. Sweat rolled down his forehead. The moment was so intense that everyone was forced to think, was this girl insane? Or did she know a truth that could shake them all? The girl tried to rise from the floor, tears in her eyes but fire in her voice. If you eat this, you won't just lose your life. You will lose your power, your pride. Everything will be gone. At that moment, the heartbeat of every person in the room could be heard. The rich man's hand froze, the plate still in front of him, and one question gripped everyone. Would he believe her? Or in his pride, take the step that would change his life forever? The silence of the room finally broke. The rich man threw the spoon onto the floor. His breathing was heavy, his eyes filled with confusion, and his face showed fear. For a moment, he kept looking at the girl. The same girl everyone had just called crazy, a liar, and worthless. But now, her words could no longer be ignored. The guards tried to drag her away again, but by then the situation had changed. On some faces in the crowd, doubt had appeared. And that doubt was the very first step. The girl's words had cracked the prideful hall. She stood up from the ground, tears in her eyes, but strength in her voice. You judge who I am by looking at my face. You decide if I am telling the truth or lying just by looking at my skin. But if you don't believe me today, then tomorrow it could be your turn. Her words echoed against the walls and reached every heart. The rich man, who had always believed his power to be unbeatable, suddenly looked weak. This moment was not just about a plate or a warning. It was about the truth that racial prejudice blinds people. It gives pride to the powerful and forces silence on the helpless. After this incident, the girl went back to her place. Maybe she still had no home, maybe she still had no food. But she did have one thing, the courage to speak the truth. And that courage was the power that could bend even the greatest pride in the world, if only for a moment. But the story does not end here. Because this is not just about one night, one room, one man, or one girl. It is a mirror, showing us our own world. A world where even today, millions of people are not heard because of their skin color, their condition, or their status. The question is, when will we listen? When will we see that a single cry, "Don't do this," is not just a voice, but the call of an entire generation? The story has ended, but its effect must remain in our hearts. Because if we do not learn from it, then tomorrow, in some other street, in some other room, the same cry will rise again. And perhaps by then, it will be too late.